He stood there, worn clothes in hand and a calm voice, saying he had come alone to claim what was rightfully his. But when he placed the deed on the desk and spoke his name, the millionaire froze. People exchanged stunned looks, and everyone fell completely silent. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The microwave beeped 3 times. Liam Carter took out the hot tray. Steam rose from the frozen pasta. It looked nothing like his mom's. "Dinner's ready, Aunt Ruth," he said, his voice quiet. His aunt walked slowly into the small kitchen. She smiled at him. "Thank you, Liam. You're a good boy." They ate at the small table by the window. The apartment was very quiet. The only sounds were their forks on the plates and the cars outside on Logan Square. Liam pushed the pasta around. He thought, "Asterisk, this is a 2. The cheese is like glue." "Did you have a good day at school?" Aunt Ruth asked. "It was okay," Liam said. He did not look up. School was just a place he went. The other kids talked about games and shows. Liam thought about his mom's kitchen, the smell of baking bread, the sound of her knife chopping herbs. After dinner, Liam washed the dishes. He dried them and put them away. Every spot in the kitchen was where his mom used to be. It made his chest feel tight. He went to his room. It was small. A bed, a desk, a window. He put on his gray hoodie, even though he was inside. He zipped it all the way up. It was old and the cuffs were fuzzy, but it felt like a hug. He sat on his bed and looked out the window. He watched the lights come on in other buildings. He did this every night. He wondered what all those other people were having for dinner, if it was any good. When it was dark, he got on his knees. He reached under his mattress. His fingers found the paper. He pulled it out carefully. It was one piece of paper, folded many times. The edges were soft. The writing was faded and hard to read. It was a deed. His mother had given it to him when she was very sick. Her voice had been a whisper. "Keep this safe, Liam. It is important. For you." "What is it?" he had asked. She had just touched his cheek. She was too tired to explain. She died 2 days later. Liam unfolded the paper now. He traced the big, fancy letters at the top. He did not understand the legal words. He just stared at it. Why was this paper so important? What was he supposed to do with it? He heard his aunt's soft footsteps in the hall. He quickly folded the paper and slid it back under the mattress. He sat on the edge of the bed. His aunt opened the door a little. "Time for bed, dear." "I know," Liam said. "Good night, Liam." "Good night." She closed the door. Liam changed into his pajamas but kept the hoodie on. He got into bed and stared at the ceiling. The apartment felt too big and too empty all at once. He missed the noise of his mom in the kitchen. He missed the smell of onions cooking in butter. He missed her voice. He thought about the paper under the mattress. It was a secret. His secret. It was the last piece of his mother he had that no one else knew about. His aunt did not know. His teachers did not know. The kids at school did not know. He closed his eyes and tried to remember her beef stew. She used rosemary. She said it was like a little pine tree in the pot. He could almost smell it. He gave the memory a 10. Then the memory faded, and he was back in the quiet. The deed under the mattress felt like it was humming. A quiet hum only he could hear. A question he did not know how to answer. Tomorrow, he would look at it again. The paper felt warm from being under the mattress all night. Liam sat on the floor of his room, the deed unfolded on the carpet in a patch of morning sun. He had looked at it 100 times, but today, his eyes did not stop at the big words. They kept going, down to the very bottom. There, in small, faded letters, was an address. The numbers and street name were so light he had to squint. 905, Grand Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. An address. His mother had never said anything about an address. Liam's heart did a little jump. This was a clue, a real clue. He folded the paper carefully and put it in the pocket of his hoodie. He ate his cereal quickly. "I'm going to the library after school," he told his aunt. "That is a good idea," she said, wiping a counter. "What book will you get?" "I need to use the computer," he said. The Logan Square Library was an old stone building. It was quiet inside. Liam went straight to the row of public computers. He had to wait for 15 minutes for one to be free. He shifted from one foot to the other, his hand in his pocket holding the paper. Finally, a woman got up. Liam sat down quickly. He turned on the computer. He opened the internet. His fingers felt clumsy on the keyboard. He typed the address slowly, 905 Grand Avenue, Chicago. He pressed enter. A map filled the screen. It showed downtown Chicago. A little red pin dropped right onto a tall building. Liam zoomed in. The building had a name, Sterling's. He knew that name. Everyone in Chicago knew that name. It was the fanciest restaurant in the city. It was in all the magazines. His teacher had talked about it once. People waited for months to get a table. Why was his mother's paper for land under Sterling's? Liam clicked on the little picture of the building. A website came up. It was all black and gold. There were photos of beautiful plates of food. Photos of a man in a perfect suit, smiling. The man was named Silas Sterling. Liam scrolled down. He found a page called Our Story. He began to read. Asterisk, Silas Sterling's vision for culinary excellence began over 20 years ago. The words were boring. They talked about hard work and great food. They did not say anything about a woman named Evelyn. They did not say anything about a partner. Liam read the whole page. His mom was not there. It was like she had never existed. He sat back in the plastic chair. His head was buzzing. The restaurant was built on his mother's land. But the story did not mention her, not one word. A librarian walked by. Her name tag said Molly. She saw Liam staring at the screen. "Finding what you need, hun?" she asked, her voice friendly. Liam pointed at the screen. "Do you know about this restaurant? Sterling's?" "Oh, sure," Molly said. "Very famous, very expensive. I've never been, of course." She laughed a little. "Why do you ask?" "My mom. She used to cook," Liam said. The words felt strange in his mouth. He almost never talked about her. "I found an old address. It's for that building." "Well, that's interesting," Molly said. "Maybe she wanted to eat there someday. A lot of people dream of it." "Maybe," Liam said quietly. But he knew that was not it. His mom had given him a deed, not a wish. She said it was important. Molly patted his shoulder. "Good luck with your research." When she walked away, Liam looked at the screen again. He looked at the picture of Silas Sterling. The man's smile did not look real. It did not reach his eyes. Liam knew what he had to do. He could not just wonder anymore. He needed answers. Real answers. The paper in his pocket felt heavy. It was pulling him toward that tall, shiny building. He printed out the map showing the red pin at 905 Grand Avenue. He folded it and put it in his pocket with the deed. His hands were cold. He walked out of the library. The afternoon sun was bright. He stood on the steps, looking toward downtown. The tall buildings were far away, but he could see them. He thought about getting on a bus, going there alone. The idea made his stomach twist. But then, he thought of his mom's voice. Asterisk, it is important. "Okay, Mom," he whispered to the air. "I'll go." Liam stood on the sidewalk outside his apartment building. The printed map was crumpled in his sweaty hand. He had told Aunt Ruth he was going to the park to read. It was not exactly a lie. He would just be reading a map on a bus. He walked to the bus stop on Fullerton Avenue. He waited. His gray hoodie felt hot in the afternoon sun, but he did not take it off. It was his armor. A big blue and white bus pulled up with a sigh of air brakes. The doors opened. Liam climbed the steps, his heart thumping. "Where to, kid?" the driver asked. He was a large man with a friendly voice. Liam showed him the map. "Grand Avenue, downtown, please." "That'll be $2.25, the driver said. Liam dug the coins out of his pocket. He dropped them into the metal box. The bus was almost empty. He chose a seat by a window, far from the few other people. The bus started moving. Liam watched his neighborhood slide by. The familiar bodega, the barber shop, the little park. Then the buildings began to change. They got taller. The streets got busier. The shops looked different, shinier, with names he did not know. He held the deed in his pocket. He ran his thumb over the folded edge. Asterisk, it is important. His mother's words played in his head like a song on repeat. A woman with a big shopping bag sat down across from him. She smiled at Liam. "You heading downtown all by yourself?" Liam nodded, looking at his shoes. "You're brave," she said. "It's a big city." Liam did not feel brave. He felt very small. The bus rumbled over a bridge. Down below, the river was a line of dark green water. Ahead, the buildings of downtown rose up like giant walls of glass and steel. They blocked the sun. The bus turned onto a wide street. The driver called out, "Michigan Avenue." Liam saw people everywhere. They walked fast. They wore suits and dresses. They talked on phones. The bus stopped and more people got on. They filled the seats. Liam pulled his hood up a little, making the world smaller. He watched the street signs: Washington Street, Madison Street. The driver called out, "Grand Avenue next." This was it. Liam's stomach flipped over. He stood up and held onto a pole. The bus stopped. The doors opened with a hiss. "You get off here, son," the driver said, noticing him hesitate. "Thank you," Liam whispered. He stepped down onto the sidewalk. The noise hit him first. Car horns, the rumble of a train on elevated tracks. People talking, shouting, laughing. The wind whipped between the tall buildings, making a whistling sound. Liam stood still for a moment, letting the crowd move around him. He looked up. The buildings were so high he had to tilt his head all the way back to see the tops. He pulled out his map. He turned in a slow circle, trying to find the right street. Everything looked confusing. He walked a few steps, then stopped. He saw a street sign, Grand Avenue. He was here. He walked down the block, his eyes scanning the numbers on the buildings. 901, 903. He stopped. There it was, 905 Grand Avenue. It was a tower of black glass and shiny metal. It looked cold and important. Right at the top, he could see a sign in elegant letters. Asterisk Sterling's asterisk. The restaurant. His mother's land was under his feet. The main doors were huge and made of dark polished wood. A man in a uniform stood beside them. Liam's feet felt stuck to the sidewalk. He could not move. People in beautiful coats and suits walked past him and went right through those doors. They belonged here. He did not. He thought about getting back on the bus, going home, putting the paper back under his mattress and forgetting it. But then he thought of his mother's face, not her sick face, her kitchen face, smiling, with a smudge of flour on her nose. She had trusted him with this. Liam Carter took the deepest breath of his life. He walked toward the big, shiny doors. The inside of the building was like another world. The floor was made of shiny, dark stone. The air was cool and smelled like flowers. Soft music played from somewhere. Liam's sneakers made no sound on the smooth floor. He saw a big desk in the middle of the lobby. A woman with a headset sat behind it. She was looking at a computer screen. Liam walked toward her, his hands in his hoodie pockets. She looked up. Her smile was polite but quick. "Can I help you?" "I need to go to Sterling's," Liam said. His voice sounded small. "The restaurant is on the top floor," the woman said. "Do you have a reservation?" Liam shook his head. "No, I need to see Mr. Sterling." The woman's polite smile did not change. "Mr. Sterling is a very busy man. You need an appointment to see him. Is your mother or father with you?" "No," Liam said. He felt his face get warm. It's important business." The woman looked at him for a moment. She saw his old hoodie, his nervous eyes. She pressed a button on her phone. "Security to the front desk, please." Liam's heart jumped. He looked around. He saw a row of elevator doors on the far wall. One of the doors was opening. A man and a woman in nice clothes stepped out laughing. Without another thought, Liam walked quickly away from the desk. He headed straight for the elevators. "Young man," the desk woman called after him. Liam did not look back. He slipped into the elevator just as the doors were closing. He was alone inside. The walls were made of dark wood. There were many buttons. He saw one at the very top that said P.H. Sterling's. He pressed it. The elevator began to rise. It was very fast and very quiet. Liam's ears popped. He watched the numbers light up as they passed each floor. 20, 30, 40. The elevator did not stop. Finally, with a soft ding, the doors opened. Liam stepped out into a quiet, carpeted hallway. There were no windows here. The walls were a deep blue. At the end of the hall was a single large wooden door. A small silver sign on it read, "Silas Sterling, Private." Liam could hear voices coming from the other side of the door. A man's voice, loud and annoyed. "The sauce is too sharp, Marco. I had a complaint from table 6 last night. A very important table." Another man's voice answered, tight with anger. "The sauce is perfect, Silas. It is exactly as it has always been. The customer does not know what they are talking about." A woman's voice, calm and gentle, cut in. Perhaps the citrus was a little stronger this batch, chef. I can mention it to the supplier. See? The first man, Silas, said. Sarah agrees with me. Liam stood frozen in the hallway. He could turn around. He could get back in the elevator and leave. No one had seen him yet. But the deed was in his pocket. It felt like it was burning a hole through the fabric. He made his legs move. He walked to the big wooden door. He put his hand on the cold brass handle. He took one more deep breath, just like he had outside. He turned the handle and pushed the door open. The office was huge. One whole wall was glass, showing all of Chicago far below. The room had a giant desk, shelves with books, and soft lights. A man with silver hair stood behind the desk. He was wearing a suit that looked expensive. This was Silas Sterling. A man in a white chef's jacket with strong arms and a frown stood facing the desk. A woman in a neat black dress stood slightly to the side, her hands clasped together. All three of them stopped talking and turned to stare at the door, at Liam. Silas Sterling's eyes narrowed. They were not friendly eyes. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice was cold and sharp. "How did you get in here?" The chef, Marco, crossed his arms. "Lost kid? The restaurant entrance is down the hall." The woman, Sarah, just watched. She did not speak. Liam's mouth was dry. He could not find any words. He looked at the tall, important man behind the giant desk. He thought of his mom's kitchen, the smell of rosemary. He walked forward. Liam walked forward. Each step on the thick carpet felt strange. The three adults watched him. He did not look at their faces. He looked at the giant, clean surface of the desk. Silas Sterling leaned forward, his hands flat on the desk. "I asked you a question. Who are you? You shouldn't be in here." Liam stopped in front of the desk. He was so much shorter than it. He could feel his heart beating in his ears. "Don't cry. Stand up straight." He put his hand into the pocket of his hoodie. His fingers closed around the old folded paper. He pulled it out. He did not say anything. He just reached up and placed the deed on the shiny wood. He used one finger to push it across the desk towards Silas Sterling. "Here's the deed, sir," Liam said. His voice was quiet, but it did not shake. "It is mine now." For a moment, there was no sound except the quiet hum of the air in the room. Silas Sterling looked down at the faded paper. He did not touch it. Then a strange sound came out of his mouth. It was a short, hard laugh. "What is this?" he said. He picked up the paper between two fingers, like it was something dirty. He glanced at it. He laughed again, a bigger laugh this time. He looked at Marco, then at Sarah. "Do you see this? A child brings me a piece of trash." He looked back at Liam. His smile was not kind. "Is this a joke? A school project? Who put you up to this? One of my competitors?" He tossed the paper back onto the desk. It slid and came to rest near the edge. Liam's face felt very hot. The man's laugh was worse than being yelled at. He wanted to turn and run, but he thought of the paper under his mattress for a whole year. He thought of his mother's tired eyes. He made himself look up. He looked right at Silas Sterling. He found his voice again. "My name is Liam Carter," he said. Silas Sterling waved a hand, impatient. "I don't care what your name is. You need to leave." Liam took another breath. He said the rest. "My mother was Evelyn Carter." The laugh stopped in Silas Sterling's throat. It just died. His mouth stayed partly open. His eyes, which had been cold and annoyed, changed. They got wide. He stared at Liam's face. He looked at Liam's green eyes. The color drained from Silas Sterling's face. It happened fast. His skin turned a sickly white like paper. Across the room, Chef Marco made a sharp sound. The pen he had been holding clattered onto the floor. He did not move to pick it up. He was staring at Liam, his own face full of shock. Sarah, the server, put one hand over her mouth. Her eyes were wide too, but they were shining. She looked from Liam to the deed on the desk and back to Liam. No one spoke. No one moved. The room was completely, utterly silent. It was a heavy silence, full of something big and old that had just broken open. Silas Sterling slowly lowered himself into his tall chair. He was still staring at Liam. He looked like he had seen a ghost. The silence stretched on. Silas Sterling did not blink. He just stared at Liam as if he were trying to solve a difficult math problem in his head. Slowly, he reached out a hand. His fingers were shaking. He picked up the deed from his desk again. This time, he held it carefully. He looked at the old writing. He looked at the signature at the bottom. His shoulders slumped. "Evelyn's boy," he whispered. The words were so quiet Liam almost didn't hear them. Silas stood up. He walked around the desk. He did not come too close to Liam. He leaned back against the desk as if he needed it to hold him up. "Your mother," Silas began. His loud, important voice was gone. Now he just sounded tired. "Evelyn, she was my friend, a long time ago, more than 20 years ago." He looked out the huge window at the city. "We met in cooking school. She was magic with food. I had ideas. I had money from my family, but she had the talent. We became partners. We decided to build a restaurant together." Liam listened. He did not move. "She found this land," Silas said, nodding down at the floor. "It was just an empty lot then. She used her own savings to buy it. This paper," he said, holding up the deed, "was hers. Our dream was to build our place right here, and we did. We built Sterling's." He stopped talking. The room was quiet again. Chef Marco spoke from where he stood. His voice was rough. "She created every recipe, the famous soup, the steak dish, the chocolate cake, all of it. It all came from her notebooks." Sarah nodded slowly, her hand finally lowering from her mouth. "She hired me," she said softly to Liam. "I had no experience. I was so nervous, but she said I had a careful eye. She taught me everything." Silas looked at the floor. "She was the heart of this place. I handled the money, the guests, the building. She was the genius in the kitchen. We were a team." Then he sighed a heavy sigh. "But then we fought. A big, terrible fight. I wanted to make the restaurant bigger. I wanted to open more locations. I wanted to be famous. She said no. She said it would ruin the food. She said the soul would be lost. She called me greedy." He looked at Liam, his face pained. "I was so angry. She was my best friend and she would not listen to me. So I told her to leave, and she did. She just walked out that night." "You told everyone she quit," Marco said. His voice was not angry anymore. It was sad. "I did," Silas admitted. "I was hurt, and I was proud. I thought, fine, I will do it without her. But the land was still in her name." He pointed at the deed. "I had a lawyer. We found a rule, a legal rule. It said if a person abandons a property, you can claim it. I said she abandoned her share. I went to a judge. I said she left our partnership. The judge believed me. He gave the land to me." He looked right at Liam. "I took it from her. I built all of this." He gestured to the window, to the room. "On top of what I stole from your mother. I thought this paper was gone forever." He let the deed fall back onto the desk. "Now you have it. And you are here." Liam looked at the old paper. His mother's paper. He finally understood. This wasn't just a piece of land. It was her dream. And this man had stolen it. "So, the restaurant is on my land?" Liam asked, making sure he had it right. Silas Sterling closed his eyes for a second. "Yes, Liam. The land under Sterling's is yours." "Yes," Silas Sterling said again. The word hung in the quiet room. He walked back behind his desk. He sat down. He placed his hands flat on the wood, trying to make them stop trembling. He looked at the boy, then at the deed, then at the boy again. "This is a very serious situation," Silas said. His business voice was trying to come back, but it was shaky. "You are a child. This is a very big, very complicated building." Liam didn't say anything. He waited. "You don't want this trouble," Silas continued. He leaned forward. "Lawyers, courts. It would take years. It would be very stressful for you." "I just wanted to know why my mom gave it to me," Liam said quietly. "And now you know," Silas said, his voice becoming smoother. "It was from her old life, a life that is over. You have your own life to live. You should be with friends. You should be in school." Liam looked at the man. He was talking fast, like he was trying to sell something. "I can make this simple for you," Silas said. He opened a drawer in his desk. He took out a checkbook. It was thick and leather. He picked up a fancy pen. "This land, this problem, it is worth a lot of money. A lot of money. I can give you that money. Right now." He started writing on the check. The pen scratched loudly in the quiet room. Liam watched his hand move. "You can take this check," Silas said. He finished writing with a flourish. He tore the check from the book. He held it out across the desk toward Liam. You can cash it. You and your family will have more than enough. You will be set for a very long time. You can buy a big house, a new car, anything you want. Liam looked at the small rectangle of paper. It had a lot of zeros on it. He had never seen so many zeros. In return, Silas said, his voice gentle now, like he was explaining something to a very small child, you give me that old deed. We forget any of this ever happened. You go back to your life, a better life, with no worries. And I continue to run my restaurant. Everyone is happy. It is the best solution. He waved the check slightly. This is what your mother would have wanted, for you to be safe and provided for. Liam stared at the check. It was a life-changing amount of money. He thought about his aunt, worrying about bills in their small apartment. He thought about never having to eat microwave pasta again. But then he thought about his mother's story, the story he just heard. She wasn't a quitter. She was betrayed. Her life's work was taken. Her name was erased. This man was offering money to erase her again, to make Liam go away and be quiet. Liam looked up from the check. He looked at Silas Sterling's face. The man was trying to smile. It was a nervous smile. His eyes were not kind. They were scared. He was scared of Liam. Liam did not reach for the check. He looked away from Silas. He looked over at Chef Marco, who was watching him with a tight, pained expression. He looked at Sarah, who gave him a small, slow nod. It wasn't a nod about the money. It was a different kind of nod, a nod of understanding. The money was right there. It would solve so many problems. But it felt wrong. It felt like another betrayal. Liam looked back at Silas Sterling. My mom didn't give me that paper so I could sell it, he said. His voice was firmer now. She said it was important. Silas Sterling's fake smile vanished. His hand, still holding the check, lowered slowly to the desk. Don't be a foolish boy. This is a life-changing amount of money. You will regret not taking it. Before Liam could answer, a new voice filled the room. It was rough and full of a deep pain. He is not being foolish. Everyone turned. Chef Marco had taken a step forward. His big hands were clenched at his sides. He was looking at Liam, but he was speaking to the room. For almost 20 years, I have worked in this kitchen, Marco said. His voice started quiet but grew stronger. I have cooked her food, her soups, her sauces. I have made her desserts. I have told young cooks to follow the Sterling way. He spat the words out like they tasted bad. But it was never the Sterling way. It was the Evelyn way. Every day, I have used her recipes in this building that sits on her stolen land. He looked at Silas, his eyes blazing. You told me she quit. You told me she ran off to another city. You said she did not care about us anymore. I believed you. I was angry at her for years. I thought she abandoned me. Marco turned his gaze back to Liam. His expression softened, but the pain was still there. Your mother, Evelyn, she was my teacher. She found me when I was a young cook with a bad temper. She was patient. She showed me how to listen to the food. She was the greatest chef I have ever known. And I spent years being angry at a ghost for a lie. He took a deep, shaky breath. I have felt guilty every single day. I built my career here. I became head chef. But I always knew something was wrong. The story never made sense. Now I know why. I have been serving her legacy in a tomb built by a thief. And I have been the thief's right hand. The room was silent again, but this silence was different. It was not shocked. It was heavy with truth. Then Sarah spoke. Her voice was calm and clear, like a bell. I was her first hire, she said. She looked at Liam, and her eyes were kind. I was an art student. I needed a job. I had never waited a table in my life. I was so nervous my hands shook. But your mother saw something else. She said I had an artist's eye for detail. She taught me everything about service. She bought me my first set of good pens. Sarah looked around the office, at the rich furniture, at Silas Sterling. I was here the night they fought. I heard every word. I saw her leave. I saw the look on her face. It was heartbreak. She looked back at Liam. When Mr. Sterling said she quit, I knew it was a lie. But I was scared. I needed the job. So I stayed. I told myself I would stay and watch. I would wait. I promised myself that one day the truth would find this place. I have been waiting for you, Liam. For 12 years, I have been waiting for a sign, and today, you walked through that door." Liam looked from Marco's scarred, earnest face to Sarah's steady, kind one. His heart was pounding, but it was a different kind of pounding now. It wasn't just fear. It was a feeling he had not felt in a very long time. He was not alone. These two people, adults in this shiny, scary world, had loved his mother. They had remembered her. They had carried a piece of her with them all this time, just like he had. Silas Sterling looked at his employees. His face was a mask of disbelief and growing panic. "What are you two doing? This is between me and the boy." But it wasn't. Not anymore. Liam finally understood. This was about his mother. It was about the people she had touched. It was about her name. Liam looked from Marco to Sarah. He saw the truth on their faces. They were on his side. They were on his mother's side. He turned back to Silas Sterling. The man was still holding the check, but it seemed small and silly now. Liam looked at the check, then at Silas. He shook his head. "I do not want your money," Liam said. Silas's eyes widened. "What? Do you have any idea what you are saying? This is more money than most people see in their whole lives." "I know," Liam said. His voice was quiet but clear. "But my mom did not give me that paper to sell it. She gave it to me because it was important. It was hers, and you took it from her." He took a step closer to the desk. He pointed at the deed. "That means the land is mine, so I get to say what happens." Silas leaned back in his chair. He looked nervous. "What are you talking about, boy?" "I do not want to sell the land," Liam said. He had never planned these words, but now they came easily. "I do not want to tear the building down. That was her dream too, to have a restaurant here." "Then what do you want?" Silas asked. His voice was tight. Liam thought about his mother's smile. He thought about her name being erased. He knew exactly what he wanted. "First," Liam said, holding up one finger, "I want my mother's name on the restaurant, right next to yours, so everyone knows she was here, she was a part of it." Silas's face turned red. "Change the name? You can't be serious. Sterling's is a brand. It is known all over the country. It was built on her land," Liam said simply. "With her recipes, her name should be there." Marco let out a sound that was almost a laugh. It was a sound of relief. Sarah smiled a real warm smile for the first time. "Second," Liam continued, holding up a second finger, "I want the menu to say Evelyn's recipes on every dish she created, so people know the food came from her, not from you." Silas opened his mouth to protest, but Liam wasn't finished. "And third," he said, his green eyes fixed on Silas, "I want the true story to be told. You will talk to a newspaper. You will tell them about Evelyn Carter, your partner. You will tell them you made a mistake. You will tell them the truth." "That will ruin me," Silas shouted, standing up suddenly. "It will ruin the restaurant." "No," Sarah said softly. Her voice cut through his anger. "It will fix it, Silas. For the first time in 20 years, it will be honest." Silas looked at Marco. The big chef just nodded once, firmly. He was with Liam. Silas Sterling looked around his huge, expensive office. He looked at the boy in the frayed hoodie. The boy held all the power. The old deed was the key to everything Silas had built. If Liam wanted to, he could cause years of legal fights. He could take it all away. Silas slowly sat back down. He looked defeated. He stared at the unsigned check on his desk. "You are asking me to give up everything I have worked for," Silas whispered. "You took everything she worked for," Liam said. "I am just asking for her name back." The room was silent. The city lights began to twinkle outside the window as the sky grew dark. Finally, Silas let out a long, tired breath. He looked at Liam. "And if I agree to these terms, what then? You will not sell the land? You will not sue me?" "If you agree, and you do it all," Liam said, "then the restaurant can stay. On my land. We can make it right." Silas Sterling looked at the deed. He looked at the determined face of Evelyn Carter's son. He had no cards left to play. The boy had won. "All right," Silas said, the word barely audible. "All right, we will change the name. We will change the menu. We will tell the story." It was not a happy agreement. It was a surrender. 2 weeks later, a new sign was installed on the tall building. The workers took down the old sign that just said Sterling's. They put up a new one. It now read, Evelyn's at Sterling's. The letters were elegant. Her name came first. Inside, the menus were different. At the top of each one it said, featuring the recipes of Evelyn Carter. Next to every famous dish, the soup, the steak, the chocolate cake, was a small printed note, created by our founding chef, Evelyn Carter. A reporter from the Chicago Tribune came to the restaurant. Silas Sterling sat with him in the dining room. His voice was stiff, but he told the truth. He talked about his brilliant partner, Evelyn. He said they had a fight. He said he made a mistake and took control of the land. He said he was sorry. The story was in the newspaper the next Sunday. People read it all over the city. Liam stood in the kitchen of the restaurant. He was wearing an apron that was too big for him. Chef Marco stood next to him. "Okay, kid," Marco said. His voice was gentler than usual. "Your mom's famous soup. It starts with onions. You have to chop them fine, but do not cry. She always said, a happy cook makes happy food. So think of a happy memory." Liam picked up a knife. He thought of his mom singing in their kitchen. He began to chop. He was careful. "Good," Marco said, watching. "Now we cook them slow. No rushing. We want them sweet, not bitter." Liam stirred the onions in the big pot. They sizzled softly. The smell began to fill the kitchen. It was a good smell. It was his mom's smell. After the soup was simmering, Sarah found Liam in the dining room. She held something in her hand. "I have something for you," she said. She handed him a small, framed drawing. It was a sketch of a woman's face. She was laughing. Her eyes were kind and bright. It was his mother, young and happy. "I drew this from memory," Sarah said softly. "From when I first met her. I thought you should have it." Liam took the frame. He looked at the drawing. He could see himself in her smile. "Thank you," he whispered. His throat felt tight. Later, Liam got on the bus to go home. He still lived in the small apartment in Logan Square. Aunt Ruth had read the newspaper article. She had cried, but they were happy tears. "Your mother would be so proud of you, Liam," she had said, hugging him tightly. That night, Liam ate dinner with his aunt. It was not microwave pasta. He had helped her make a simple salad. It was better. He gave it a 7. He went to his room. He put the drawing of his mother on his desk, right where he could see it. He took off his gray hoodie and folded it. He did not need to wear it inside anymore. He still liked it, but it did not have to be his armor all the time. He looked out the window at the city lights. Downtown, in the tall building, a restaurant with his mother's name was full of people eating her food. Here, in his quiet room, he had a drawing of her smile. He was not alone anymore. He had Marco, who taught him how to cook. He had Sarah, who remembered his mother's face. He had even made Silas Sterling tell the truth. Liam got into bed. He thought about the deed. It was not under his mattress anymore. It was in a safe box at the bank. It was not a secret. It was proof. He had been brave. He had fixed a big wrong. It did not bring his mom back. The apartment was still quiet, but the quiet felt different now. It felt peaceful. Liam Carter closed his eyes. For the first time in a very long time, he did not feel sad. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be.